right. Hope everyone's doing well today. Just a couple things and then I'll answer any questions you may have. Riyad Jones has had a leg injury and he's still undergoing further evaluation, and we'll know more as time progresses, but that's all we'll say on that. But he was out at practice. Made some position changes right now, just trying to increase our overall depth and competitive nature of our football program. As you saw today, Vincent Dallas has gone from receiver to corner, and we're kind of force feeding him. So we'll know a little bit more. This rest of this week is really big for his development, and then we'll make a decision on how he can best help this football team win. Reggie Jewin is also getting some reps at defensive back, and then Jalen Reeves-Maben, we're experimenting and moving him closer to the box at linebacker. So those are some changes today. Really interested to see our maturity as a football team. I thought we probably had the best practice we had last night in Neyland Stadium. It was a grueling practice, very physical. So I really wanted to see the maturity of this football team, how we would come back after a night practice, after a two-a-day session, and kind of see our mental makeup, our mental capacity, and how we approach the day. I think this football team has to learn how to enjoy being uncomfortable. And, this is where your football team is developed right now. Your bodies are sore, your mind's weary, and it's that mindset to push through. It's that competitive edge that gets you through. Everyone's tired, but it's still playing up to your maximum potential, your maximum level that we talk about. Where are we at with that? We still have a long ways to go. We're developing, but we need to pick it up. And I told our football team this is the way we finish this week is going to be critical in the evolution of our football team, from leadership to accountability. And the big thing is focusing on the details when you're tired. And the first thing to go when you're tired are the small details. The mental intensity, the mental effort, too many drop footballs, jumping off sides, lining up off sides, and then quite simply your fundamentals, your fundamental base, your stance, and then understanding that in your opponent and being able to judge that. So again, every day is a learning opportunity with this football team, but our maturity and the ability to push through negative situations, we have to do a much better job of. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Was Dallas the obvious? I guess he played some there in the past. Was that the most obvious natural move?
Yeah, it was. When we looked at making that positional change, what player had some experience there, what player possesses that type of skill set, and so it was pretty obvious when we looked there that Vincent would be the guy.
What have been your initial impressions on that? I know it's kind of a crash course, and I think Devin Young leapfrogged him a little bit today, going to the end zone, but he seems to have the athleticism.
It is a crash course, and everything is happening really, really, really fast, and it's a complete change in fundamentals and details. But still, at the end of the day, it's all about body position, competitive makeup. And he's showing some instincts for the position. And that's the big thing, too, is instinctiveness, is what type of instincts you have. And like I told him, we're developing habits. And we're trying to create instinctfulness. And how do you do that? By your habits each and every day, doing things over and over again. So that's, as I said, we'll know a little bit more on Vincent as training camp progresses.
It looked like the wide receivers really struggled today, like you were saying. Is that mental fatigue visible or just both?
All of the above. It's the mental fatigue. Their legs are tired. They're weary. I was great to see that we got to practice in some elements today with the rain. So now all of a sudden they had to catch a wet football. And I think it's the mental capacity. We're still installing route technique, finishing plays. And I think it's a combination of a lot. And then we're extremely young. And we're trying to force feed our freshmen to get them game ready. And I think you saw the intensity level pick up today. And all that it is trying to get them game ready. As we know in this conference, they're going to play against the best of the best.
Coach Azani said that he teaches an unorthodox route running style. What makes it so unorthodox and unique?
The demands. The demands of the techniques. The receiver position is a technique-driven position. Getting in and out of breaks, catching the football, putting it away, advancing the ball, getting released from the line of scrimmage, playing with a high level of physicality and blocking. it's very, very demanding, but we take great pride in the fundamental aspect of playing wide receiver, and it's a detail-oriented position. They speak to the quarterback by their body language, the way they stick routes. All that is so important, and it's a demanding position. I think people just think you go out there and you run the route and you catch the football, and it's a thinking position, and everything happens fast, especially when you're a no-huddle offense.
But you seem like you probably pushed the defensive line maybe more consistently than any position, at least your comments. How they responded, and any individuals really kind of taking that run with it?
Well, yesterday I saw them respond some. And as we all know, this is a line of scrimmage league, and you win up front. And we have some older players there. They need to start leading more. They need to start demanding more from themselves, especially when they get tired. And I'm starting to see progress there. But, everything has to be accelerated in the next couple days. Some players respond, other players don't. And I think it's accountability to each other. I think Dan McCullers is working through that. I see him developing. We need to rely on Corey Miller more. He needs to step up a little bit more. And these are all very prideful individuals. Salisbury's another individual. We see glimpses, but now we're looking for that consistency in performance, especially when you're tired. And I keep saying it, is you have to run an 11-yard arc in 1.9 to 2.7 seconds, and your margin of error of rushing the passer is very minimal. You have no wasted movement. Everything is fast. Our nose guard has to get a push every time they throw the football, and we have to continue to demand that.
Butch, you talked about your offensive line always being 6, 7, 8. After the 14-play drive and the scrimmage all run, do you have any more confidence in those guys that the second team do?
It's ongoing. I thought we were extremely sloppy on both sides of the football, especially with our twos, and we can't be sloppy. And it's a mindset, it's a demand element. Again, is what happens when you become sloppy. Again, you lose your fundamentals, you lose your base, you lose your stance, you start playing extremely high. Everyone starts leaning on each other, and that's what we're trying to push them through. And it's really extremely difficult for young O linemen and D linemen to push through it, but the only way you can get better is to continue to learn. And it's what I said earlier when I started this conversation, is our players have to learn to embrace on being uncomfortable. We have to like being uncomfortable. We have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And how do you do that? It's your style of play. It's how you practice.
Butch, how do you think Byron and Daryl are maybe pushing each other back there, and what do you need to see from them?
More consistency again. So much in our defense, we rely on our safeties to make tackles. It's a safety-activated defense. And not only do they have to cover in one-on-one, but they have to be great tacklers. And if you guys have noticed, we've worked tackling extremely hard the last 2 days. Coming to balance, having a great base, running your feet, keeping your head up. So I just think a high level of consistency of tackling.
Speaking of tackling, the other day it looked like a great hit by Brian Randolph on Marquez North. Were you guys told that would have been an illegal hit?
We went back and forth with that, and Steve Shaw was here today, the director of officiating for the SEC, and we reviewed it over and over again, and it's one of those calls that would have been in the gray area. He was going for the football, but his helmet made contact above the shoulder, so it would have been a judgment call, and that possibly in today's world, it would have been an ejection from the game and a suspension. And that's the world of college football. Those are the rules, and it completely changes your coaching. And you're kind of taking instincts away from individuals, so everything you're going to see is everyone's going to lower, their center of gravity. Everyone's going to lower their sights. You're going to see more lower tackles, and, you got to see what you can hit. But Brian was going for the ball, and it's the world that we live in today, and we have to continue to coach it.
How frustrating would that be as a coach, because with the gray area there, you're not talking about a small margin there. I mean,
Right.
it's either it's a good hit or you're ejected from the game. It seems kind of hard.
Yeah, it's the nature of where we're at in football today, and it's the rules, and we have to continue to educate our players about it. And the one thing you never want to do is take their aggressiveness away and going for the football, but it's a reality, and we got to coach it on every snap.
Michael Williams
He had a shoulder injury in our scrimmage, and he's progressing, and we anticipate to get him back here in the next couple of days.
Second with the petition battle at safety there between Moore and McNeil, is that just about an ideal scenario for you in terms of having an older guy who's played a lot, a younger guy who's played a little bit and is pushing you there?
What's ideal is we want competition across the board, and we have to do a great job of recruiting. And it's a great opportunity for future student athletes to come in here and compete right away. And there's nothing that simulates more than competition. And we have competition at those spots, but we need more. We need more throughout our entire program, offensively, defensively, and special teams. But it has helped that position. And when somebody gets banged up a little bit, it's another individual's opportunity to really insert their will on that position.
And then Reeves Maven, what do you like about him at that second level of linebacker?
He's athletic. He's very instinctive. You know, really the position he played in high school was safety, but he played closer to the box. So we're going to try it again. It's all about giving individuals opportunity to compete, to play right away. And we're just trying to put our players in best positions possible to be successful.
How critical is it for Foreman and Sutton to develop, and what are the chances of them having come in and play right away?
They're going to have to play. You know, that's where we're at in our program. We're going to have to rely on some freshmen on the edges of our defense at the corner position. It is what it is. So we're trying to force feed them. We're trying to challenge them on every single rep. Every single rep is a learning experience for them, and they're doing a great job with it. But we have to get them ready. We have no choices. Thank you.